The FBI has spent years systematically dismantling the old guard mafia families on American soil. The last, and arguably the most formidable, remnant of this dying empire is Primo Sparazza, a ghost who has eluded every net cast his way. His organization is a fortress, with only one visible crack. A Las Vegas showman and illusionist named Buddy Aces Israel. Buddy began his career on stage, weaving illusions with cards and coins, but his ambitions outgrew the spotlight. He made a Faustian bargain with the underworld, and Sparazza himself provided the ladder for his ascent. But in a fatal miscalculation, Buddy eventually crossed the line, fracturing the Sparazza family from within. The debt, in the eyes of a man like Primo, could only be settled in blood. Seeing the target on his back, Buddy, in a move of sheer survival, flipped. He cut a deal with the FBI, agreeing to deliver Sparazza and his inner circle in exchange for immunity. He was, however, adamant about one thing. He would not testify against his own crew. When $1 million open contract was placed on Buddy's head, it lit a fuse across the criminal underworld. A low-level Sparazza family member saw a chance for a lucrative side hustle. Capture Buddy alive, then ransom him back to the FBI or the family, whoever paid more. As he plotted this with an associate, their conversation was captured by FBI agents Richard Messner and Donald Carruthers, who were running the wiretap. Realizing a feeding frenzy was about to begin, they knew they had to secure Buddy first. If the snitch turned up dead, their case against Sparazza, a man responsible for hundreds of crimes, including the brutal execution of an undercover FBI agent whose cover he blew, would evaporate. Deputy Director Stanley Locke officially sends Messner and Carruthers to retrieve their volatile asset from a luxury hotel penthouse in Lake Tahoe. Locke paints a grim picture of the competition. The bounty has attracted a rogues gallery of freelance talent. The cold, efficient assassin duo Scythe and Waingro, a trio of nihilistic, drug-fueled neo-Nazi brothers known as the Tremor siblings, Darwin, Jeeves, and Lester. The elusive chameleon Laszlo Soot, a master of disguise, and the fanatical, near-mythological enforcer Pasquale Acosta, a man who once gnawed his own fingerprints to the bone to avoid identification. Also in the mix is bail bondsman Jacques Dupree and his ex-cop partners, Elmore and Dex. Dupree, hired by Buddy's own lawyers to find their vanished client, has concocted an elaborate plan involving stolen hotel staff uniforms. Scythe and Waingro opt for a simpler approach. Knowing Buddy's weakness for prostitutes, Scythe will pose as one to gain access to his suite. Laszlo Soot travels with a portable mask-making kit, a minimalist Ethan Hunt. The Tremor brothers have no plan at all, riding a wave of methamphetamine and indiscriminate violence. And Acosta moves like a shadow, his methods and motives inscrutable. Dupree, confident he holds the only key to Buddy's location, assures a skeptical Elmore they're ahead of the pack. He is catastrophically wrong. As this motley crew converges, Buddy Israel is in his penthouse, nursing a hangover from another cocaine-fueled bender. He sends his lackey, Hugo Krupp, to fetch the hotel's discreet cleaner, Mr. Vitally, to deal with the aftermath, a ruined $12,000 jacket soiled by a guest. Meanwhile, Dupree meets with the lawyer who hired him, receives his payment and instructions, and sets his plan in motion. The chaos begins simultaneously. Pasquale Acosta, impersonating an FBI agent, infiltrates the hotel's security office, murders the chief of security, and steals a master keycard. Not far away, the Tremor brothers stumble upon Dupree's crew. In a burst of senseless violence, they ambush them, steal their hotel staff disguises, and dump the bodies, or what they think are bodies, into the lake. Elmore, though severely wounded and missing fingers, survives, clawing his way to shore and finding refuge with a reclusive woman and her martial arts-obsessed grandson. Back at the hotel, the hunters are in position. Waingro sets up a sniper nest in a building across the street. Scythe, disguised, waits for the delivery of women to Buddy's suite. Laszlo Soot, having also identified Vitally as a perfect access point, murders the cleaner. His luck doubles when Hugo Krupp arrives. Soot kills him too, packaging Krupp's head to create a lifelike mask, planning to get dangerously close to the target. Inside the suite, during a clandestine call with the FBI, Buddy, in a panic, agrees to expand his testimony to include his own men. His right-hand man, Ivy, overhears this ultimate betrayal and decides Buddy's time is up. Agents Messner and Carruthers are en route when they get the alert. The hotel is now a war zone, and Dupree's body has been found. They split up. Carruthers heads to the hotel to secure Buddy, while Messner investigates the murder scene. At FBI headquarters, Deputy Director Locke receives an old file that reveals Sparazza's deepest secret, changing the entire calculus of the operation. He now knows they might not need Buddy alive after all, but he lets the play continue. In the penthouse, the confrontation between Ivy and Buddy turns physical. At that moment, Laszlo Soot, wearing Hugo's face, enters and efficiently kills one of Buddy's guards. The ensuing chaos allows Ivy's own men to subdue him instead, leaving Hugo alone with a terrified Buddy. Downstairs, Agent Carruthers shares an elevator with a quiet man. He notices the man's mangled fingertips, no fingerprints. Acosta, a silent, brutal close-quarters gunfight erupts inside the metal box. Both men shoot each other multiple times, falling in a bloody stalemate. Scythe, hearing the gunfire, investigates the stalled elevator, finds the two dying men, and checks their IDs. She realizes two FBI agents have taken each other out. Upstairs, Buddy receives the crushing news. The FBI has rescinded his deal. He's been cut loose. As he reaches for a gun, the cumulative stress and cocaine overdose trigger a massive heart attack, and he collapses. For Laszlo Soot, this is a fortunate turn. His mission, as it turns out, wasn't to kill Buddy, but to extract him alive for Sparazza, who needs a very specific organ donor. He simply needs to keep Buddy stabilized until a surgeon arrives. Messner, having fought his way upstairs with a SWAT team, finds his partner Carruthers dying in the elevator. Enraged and grief-stricken, he spots Scythe fleeing and gives chase, cornering her and Ivy on a stairwell. Scythe convinces him she didn't kill Carruthers. Messner, seeing the larger picture, lets them go. Waingro, believing Scythe is dead, goes berserk, unleashing a sniper massacre until she is finally neutralized. Elsewhere, the Tremor brothers, in their stolen uniforms, blunder into a corridor firefight with Ivy's remaining guards. Jeeves wields a chainsaw in the close quarters, a decision that ends as poorly as one might expect. Only Darwin survives the carnage and escapes. Elmore, having patched himself up and armed himself, waits outside by the Tremor's vehicle. When Darwin arrives, Elmore executes him for revenge and takes the keys. SWAT finally storms the penthouse, capturing Laszlo Soot just as he prepares for the grim surgery. The master of disguise, however, uses the confusion to shed his mask and clothing, slipping past the raiding team entirely and vanishing into the night. Buddy Israel, clinging to life, is rushed to a hospital. It is there that Deputy Director Locke reveals the shocking truth to a furious Agent Messner. Primo Sparazza is not a born mafioso. He is a former deep-cover FBI agent who was betrayed and left for dead by his own handlers years ago. He survived, changed his face, and his shattered psyche was consumed by his criminal persona. Buddy Israel is his biological son. Now, Sparazza is dying of heart failure and needs a transplant. Buddy is a perfect match. The entire bounty, the chaotic hunt. It was Sparazza's desperate, distorted plan to retrieve his son and harvest his heart. Locke's cold calculus is that if Sparazza gets the transplant and survives, they can finally flip him and bring down the entire syndicate. Messner realizes Locke could have called off the hotel operation, saving Carruthers and countless others, but chose not to, sacrificing them for the bigger play. Feeling the weight of this monstrous betrayal, Messner masks his disgust. He is left alone in the hospital room with the unconscious Buddy Israel and the dying Primo Sparazza, connected to their respective life support systems. In a final, silent act of judgment, Agent Richard Messner looks at the two men, the corrupt father and the treacherous son, pawns in a game that cost his partner's life, and makes a decisive choice. He reaches over and disconnects them both.